cake out and something stuck or is underbaked a little bit or whatever else, parchment paper round will always release nicely, and it's a nice step to do. I already drew a circle. I'm just gonna cut inside of it 3 rounds. 1, 2, 3. The last step is take a tablespoon of flour and just kick it around the side because I buttered the sides, that's exposed, and you do want that to be well lubricated. Those can hang out there for a while. Clean my workspace up. Let's shred some carrots. You could use your food processor for this or just do it by hand. And we want 1 pound. I'm using the fine grater, but the thick one works as well. You be careful, this is the thing that's injured the most people in the kitchen, your poor knuckles. You don't have to do this, but I have a scale here, so I can just measure it out as I go along, halfway there. Exactly 1 pound, okay. This can get set aside, some scraps to nosh on later. Now for the dry ingredients. So into a large bowl over a scale and under a sifter, we're gonna add 300 grams or 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. There we go. 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, a generous 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of ginger, 1/2 teaspoon of cardamom, oh, so good, and 1/2 teaspoon of allspice. Oh, allspice really should go in all of your baking. All right, let's sift it out. Whisk it up. You want to distribute those spices and the leavening agents, the salt, everything. Don't distribute it onto the counter though. For the wet ingredients, we're using 3/4 of a cup of sour cream. And yes, if you don't have sour cream, yogurt will do, plain, full fat preferably. So now 3/4 of a cup or 180 ml of vegetable oil, 1/2 cup of applesauce. Using the applesauce and the sour cream helps you use less oil so you have a delicious moist cake that's not gonna be oily. Oily cake is one of my pet peeves. It's like, ugh. 1 2/3 cups of sugar. Might seem like a lot, but remember, this is a big cake. This is enough cake to feed like a large group of people. Let's add in about 2 teaspoons of vanilla and 3 whole eggs. Room temperature, please. All right, now we're ready to whisk this up. This is a small bowl for a lot of ingredients. What am I doing? This could be done in a stand mixer or with an electric mixer as well. We're basically ready to assemble our batter. Now there's one more step. Before I assemble the batter, I'm adding 1 cup of toasted chopped pecans into a little bowl and just tossing them with some flour. That's 121 grams in case you're not using cups. All right, just toss it up. This will help the nuts kind of like be where they need to be and not just sink to the bottom. So now let's assemble this batter. I'm so excited. Pour the wet into the dry. Now let's mix it up. We're mixing the batter until almost combined, which means it's okay to have a couple pockets of flour hanging out here or there because that's all gonna get handled once we fold in the rest of the ingredients. Now we can dump in those nuts and all that delicious carrot. What is a carrot cake without carrot? Cake. Most of you know this already, but all of that carrot will just infuse the cake with so much moisture. If you want to click up here for my apple cake recipe, it's kind of similar. The apple cake has this batter that's so thick. People are like, oh my gosh, this has to be wrong. But what happens is the apples release all their moisture in the oven and the cake is perfect. So just make sure that all those ingredients are incorporated in there. Scrape the bottom of the bowl. Divide the batter equally into those 3 pans. I love that color. You can let me know in the comments if there's something you add to your carrot cake. I grew up with carrot cake that had pineapple in it, and I thought that was like the normal way to do things, but apparently not. If you want my carrot pineapple sheet cake recipe on the blog, let me know and I'll post it up. It's like the family favorite I grew up with. Okay, so you want about 640 grams of batter in each of your pans. I zeroed out the scale first. These need some cake strips. This will help you bake up nice flat layers. If you don't use them, it's totally fine, but you'll have a domed cake, so you'll either have to trim or just deal with a cake that's really domed. Cake strips are on. Let's bake these for 40 minutes-ish at 350 F, 177 C. I don't know how it goes in other countries. I heard there's like gas marks, etc. Let me know about that, I'm curious. While my cake layers are cooling, it's time for some cream cheese frosting. This is gonna be a combo with 3 sticks of room temperature butter, That is 113 grams times 3, or 1.5 cups. Afterwards, we're gonna add in 16 ounces, that's 2 blocks of room temperature cream cheese. Okay, we're gonna cream this with a paddle attachment and just, make it nice and homogeneous. Get down there. This is one time where you want things on the colder side of room temperature because while amazing, delicious, creamy, tangy, and sweet, cream cheese frosting has this annoying tendency to really fall apart when it warms up. So if you get it to be on the cooler side of room temperature and make sure your cake layers are nice and totally cool, you're gonna have a much easier time decorating your cake. That's good. Now it's time for the sugar. I love having those there because I would always lose my scissors. Always lose my scissors. I would go crazy looking for scissors. Now they're always there.
They don't want you to know about it.
Hey, did you know you might get a big cash payout if you were in a car accident up to 1 year ago, even if you weren't driving?
This is like the fun part of adulting. Okay, so we're gonna add in a lot of sugar. It's gonna be about 1 3/4 pounds of confectioner sugar. If you're like, oh my gosh, that's too much, you can add in less. It'll be totally delicious still. It'll be a little bit more oozy and droopy, so just don't go crazy trying to decorate the cake perfectly. The more sugar you add in, the stiffer it'll be and the more like regular buttercream. Okay, I'm just gonna get this started a little bit. Put that down. Little babushka, and let's go. It mostly worked. Mostly. I'm so used to decorating cakes with meringue-based buttercreams like Swiss and Italian meringue buttercream. You can click up here for my Swiss meringue buttercream recipe. It is perfect for decorating cakes, and it's blazingly white. It's like white frosting, which is also delicious. This is more yellow because the butter was yellow. Add a splash or a teaspoon or 2 of vanilla. Now let's give it a mix. Okay, let's give this a little taste. That's very nice. Okay, I'm just gonna go into a piping bag and we're gonna decorate this cake after we make the second batch of buttercream. So the decoration scheme for this cake is really simple. We have the cream cheese frosting, a little bit of nuts, and the buttercream carrots. For those carrots, we're adding in 1/2 cup or 113 grams of butter. Now just give it a mush. Mush, 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 mush. I got really into those like buttercream flour tutorials that were from like various like Korean cake artists. And one of the things they would do is make their buttercream by hand, even for meringue-based ones. And it wouldn't have like any air bubbles in it and it'd be perfect for piping. So we're doing something kind of similar here for those carrots. If you want, you can totally make it with the paddle attachment in your stand mixer too, but it's not a big deal. So I'm just gonna dump in the sugar. I'm using about 2 cups of sugar now, and I might add in a little bit more if needed. What I'm doing is making like a paste. So I'm just mixing it in, mix, 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 mix. We'll fast forward to this, but it'll take a minute and it'll become a paste. A beautiful paste for piping those carrots. I'm just gonna add a drop of vanilla in to kind of lubricate things a bit. There we go. A little bit of patience is well rewarded in this pipeable paste. You want it to be really stiff. So one of the keys for piping anything with American buttercream, which this is to have it be stiff. You want to have a nice definition. If it's flowers, you don't want them to be droopy. And if it's a carrot, you want it to stand up with those little leaves coming straight up. Not all falling down, especially if the weather could be a bit warmer. So now I have my paste. I'm gonna separate this into 2 batches. A smaller one will be dyed green and the larger one will be dyed orange. So a couple drops of orange. You know, carrots can be like white, but no one's trying to hear that. Orange carrots were developed to celebrate the House of Orange, as in William of Orange, as in William and Mary, King and Queen of England. That looks sufficiently orange, and if you ever have any doubts, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know, this could be more saturated, Just know that all buttercreams, American buttercreams, will darken up as they dry a bit. So that looks plenty orange to me. I think I actually have a carrot hanging out here. I think I used a lot of this green in another cake. There we go, nice and green. Green leaves, green. Okay, let's assemble this cake nice and cool with those flat layers. And if you're wondering, yes, it was amazing getting them out of the pans. They plopped right out. Okay, that's all I needed. That perfectly flat, fluffy and delicious. Straighten it out, so just make sure you're on a good foundation. Okay, next layer. There you go. That is a big, beautiful cake over here. This cake is gonna break your heart. You'll never have another carrot cake again. I'm gonna get some buttercream coverage on this cake, and then as needed, I can add more on after an initial smooth. Don't be too precious with this cake. It's just a delicious cake with really cute buttercream carrots on top. Finish that up. Now, let's give it a smooth. Smooth the side out. Cake decorating is so much easier at the turntable, I cannot even tell you. Go and buy one. Pull in the edge.
Dear Savvy, who says you can't have it all?
On the edge, we're almost done with the smoothing part. Now I'm adding a skirt of toasted chopped pecans onto the bottom part. If it falls down, pick it right back up, just like a friend. I love that this adds contrast to the cake and also gives you extra crunch. I'm all about that crunch. Then any excess you can just take right off. Okay, any other pieces you can just pop in on top to give you a bit of a gradient. And now it's time for our carrots. The orange buttercream's in a bag fitted with a 1A tip. That's like a medium round. We're gonna pipe some carrots at different heights and distances from the edge. So, whoop, that's a baby carrot. Look how beautiful that buttercream is piping. There is like no wavering. It's very strong. Strong, beautiful buttercream. If you want, you can pipe your carrots at all the same height and all the same distance, but I like them to look kind of almost messy, so it's like a garden kind of. Now I have the green buttercream in a piping bag fitted with a 233 tip. So each carrot's getting about 2 squeezes from my grass tip. And in between, I'm just cleaning off the tips so I don't have any like weird excess. Here's where the just in case comes in handy. So if you're like, oh, that's too much, you can just push it back up like that. And it's easier if you squeeze, but don't lift up for a minute, form a base, and then lift up. It'll give those little green pieces a foundation to grow on. And there you go, carrot cake. Only thing left is to take a bite. If you like this recipe, check out my ultimate cake playlist. It's my all-time favorite cakes, guaranteed to please